Welcome to Dear Alice, a lifestyle approach to interior design.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Dear Alice. Today we are going to be talking about a bunch of you guys have sent in a ton of questions about tile and stone.
I know. So first off, thank you.
Yes.
For sending in questions.
Amen.
That's what feeds the podcast, y'all. So keep sending them in.
Yes, we want to answer all your curiosities about interior design because just when we think we've said it all, we haven't. You guys have questions, which means we need to be more clear and give you guys
scratch our head for a second. Think about it.
The details. Exactly. Yep. But first we want to give a shout out to all of you. Thank you so much for listening to us. We just hit 3 million downloads.
Oh, exciting.
Which is such a mile mark.
That's huge.
Guys.
Yeah. When we first started, I would have never thought, that's, I mean, I remember thinking like 1 million, that's forever away.
That's the goal. And then we'll retire.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Then we're out.
Yes. So thank you for listening to us. And those of you that are new, thank you for joining us. And we just found out a really fun piece of data that we are currently ranked.
We're number 1 in the design category in Bahrain and in the Cayman Islands. Random.
Oh, hey,
yeah.
Where's Bahrain?
It's over by Qatar, where the World Cup was.
Amazing. Thank you to all of you in Bahrain that are listening to us talk about interior design.
Yeah.
And in the Cayman Islands and everywhere else in the world.
I was gonna say,
we're so flattered.
Yeah, that was like number 1. So that's exciting. But I feel like we're in like we're usually within top 3, 4 in the design category or right? Or
in Great Britain,
Canada,
New
Australia.
Zealand,
Anyway, it's really cool.
It is cool.
Yeah.
Like we're in like Finland and anyway, it was very cool.
We're international.
Yes. Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. And then you had a nice review that you wanted to give a shout out to.
Yeah. This comes from a listener in Great Britain. Speaking of that, she titled it Wow, Wow, Wow. She says, I've listened to nothing else for what seems like 3 months and dread getting to the last episode. Living in England, it's inspiring to listen to your huge range of ideas and your openness about design challenges. I've learned so much. Thought it was amazing. She said, learned. That's awesome. And as we are halfway through building our own home and barn, your insights have changed many parts of our design inside and out. I admire your achievements. Hope one day you'll ship outside the US and have your own Netflix/Amazon too. Thank you for your constancy.
Amazing.
Netflix.
Yes, we do have an Amazon. We do have an Amazon.
No. I think she was meaning like a Netflix or Amazon TV show.
Oh, got it.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, if any of you guys know anybody at the Netflix or the Amazon, tell them to give us a call.
Yeah.
We're ready.
Yes, we would love to. We would love to do that and show you better visuals for all these things we're talking about. Yes. Okay. But first up, I want to ask you guys, Sue, how are you doing? What's going on in your life? How's the emergency remodel going?
Oh, you guys, drama. It's on a pause.
Oh,
Everyone's like, oh no, poor Sue and Tom. They can't finish their bathroom remodel. No, we just like had some news that like our property might be desired by somebody else. So we're just like holding and waiting on that before I invest in said emergency remodel. And we're just in a hold. So to be continued.
That's so exciting.
Either way,
and
hopefully I have some development
on having such a desirable property that somebody would like to purchase it.
Yeah.
So kudos. Big compliment.
Yeah. Pays to buy an acre in Highland. Cheers.
Yes.
So
cheerio. Yeah. I love that. Corey, how are you doing? What's the latest with you?
Same old. Still waiting on a passport. No, but seriously, just kids, fun, like gearing up for summer.
Right, summer. This is like, we'll be well into the summer when this airs. But we're getting ready to finish up school. Yeah, we're like in the last week and a half. So today's field day.
Fun.
Spent some money with the Nino to go get some shaved ice. The field day, it's the best.
That's so cute.
I remember like just the excitement like of the last like bit of school where like everyone checks out. You watch movies, you have field days and the shaved ice, and like it's just such an exciting time.
Yes.
So, but now we're in the thick of summer, so hope everyone's cooling down out there.
Summer's the best. Like I love summer in Utah. It's just, I mean, it's light until like almost 10 o'clock at night.
I know.
Yeah. Corey and I both have summer birthdays. So we always associate having our birthday parties in the summer with the sprinklers on, running through in our swimsuits and laying on the hot concrete.
I hope you do that.
And having ice cream. And
that was more of like a younger, I don't know if I'm
kids.
This year, but
we don't do that as adults anymore. But I do think having a summer birthday is like the stuff of sleepovers on trampolines and magic, you know, fireflies. Yeah. I love summer too. There's a special kind of magic in the air.
Yep. For real.
True.
Yeah.
Jess,
it's really
what
good.
What are you feeling?
Well, I currently, because we're recording this in May, I have my youngest daughter who is going to be graduating next week from high school. So I'm just like right on the edge of having a whole house be empty and not have a heartbeat of a teenager in my house, which is so sad. So I go through ranges of emotions feeling about that and wondering if maybe I should adopt something. The other night, Adam and I were laying in bed going, King Charles Spaniel's near us. Like, do we need to adopt something that's ready to go right now? I know. We were like, does Lady need a dog? I think our dog needs a dog. I think I need something in my heart. So yeah, it's a weird thing.
I work out a child rental.
Oh no. I hear so many people be like, you are going to love it. You're going to feel like you come alive. It's so fun. And I don't know. There's something about you that feels like you're born when your child is born and that you live this sort of second life with them and through them, which is very different than the way you experienced it because the world was a different place when we grew up. But it's just fun. It gives you a heartbeat. It makes you feel young. It makes you feel connected to the younger generations. And so we'll continue to still do that and whatnot. But it just feels different that she's moving away to university. Yeah. So, yeah.
It probably is going to feel like a different life. You know what I mean? How like because I've experienced that too. When my kids were born, I was like, I feel like life is starting right now.
Yeah.
And it'll be
like a chapter is closing and another chapter's opening. And what does that look like? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To that though, I felt this in like a small way, which doesn't have anything to do with how you're feeling right now because your child's an adult and I have very small children. But when I knew that Louis was my last one, I was just like, oh my gosh, like I can just sell all the baby stuff because I'm done with that chapter. I should start painting. I should pick up a new hobby in all my spare time. Yeah. You know, but you actually do have time without Jane in your life that you should like, I don't know, start like throwing pottery or like you know, I don't know, do something.
I know. I feel like they've said that to people like about retirement, that you shouldn't just retire from something. You should retire to something and pick up the thing that you want to do. So you have like energy moving into it. So I should pick up probably some sort of exercise, I imagine.
You guys, whatever. No, I was just going to say, look at Martha Stewart. Look at Martha freaking Stewart at 81. But just you guys also, this is well in the past when this airs, but Sports Illustrated. Yeah. Yeah. The front cover of the swimsuit edition of Sports Illustrated. Like, go freaking Martha, you know?
And she looks good. Really good.
Amazing. Yeah. Like a bombshell. I was like, I want her people to do my hair. It looks amazing.
I know. They tease
Well, you know, I love a tease. So I just can't wait for big hair to come back, you guys. Mama knows how to architect a great big hairdo. Yeah, I get all the underlayers of back combing and all the teasing. And
that's your new, like, you revisit that hobby.
Listen, I could do that for the youth. I could back comb them into big hairdos.
Maybe that's the next big thing.
I could start a YouTube sensation.
Yes, wow, yeah.
You sure?
I'll come up with something better to do.
Well, I'm excited for you.
We'll probably just keep designing houses.
Jane, and I'm excited for you because you remember when you graduated high school and like the world is your oyster. So high five to Jane.
Yeah.
And she's going to do great things. You just get to like be on the sidelines and watch it.
Right. Yeah. And this is our,
I'm sure.
Yes.
That'll be painful.
Yes. Right. And this is our second. We have another daughter that's 22 that's been in college the whole time. Since she was 18. So we know how to do this. It just feels different when it's your youngest. You know, because then you have an empty house. Yeah. So
when I met you, Jane was 3.
I know. So cute, right?
Yeah. That was a long time ago. It went fast.
It did go fast.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about tile and stone.
So really quick though, before we get into tile and stone, I just wanted to say this. Those of you that are new, I know that the name of our podcast is Dear Alice, and it's probably confusing to you that the name of our design firm is Alice Lane. And so I just wanted to say, if you want to follow along on Instagram, we have two handles. The first one, Alice Lane Interior Design, is us building the homes and doing the remodels and furnishing them and the design trays and the CAD and finished projects that we're shooting and just like styling things that we're doing in the home. So if you're just really obsessed with interior design and want to watch that journey, that's at Alice Lane Interior Design on Instagram. The home side, Alice Lane Home, that's our second channel, which is our store. And it's all of the furniture side of things. It's where we're launching the new products that Corey and I are designing. And it's where you can work with the free furnishings service, and we can use all of our vendors and create beautiful homes for you. And you just have to pay the cost of furniture. You don't have to pay for a designer on that side. So 2 services, 2 accounts. If you're design obsessed, you should follow both of them. But we often get a lot of DMs, and all of today's questions that came in are from the DMs to those Instagram accounts. So Instagram accounts, again, Alice Lane Interior Design and Alice Lane Home are the 2 different ones. The name of the podcast is Dear Alice, because it's kind of like the old advice column, Dear Abby, if you guys remember, where people would write in. And this is kind of where we just answer all the design questions and debunk design and talk about how we did this thing. Mm-hmm. So we are highly published design firm. We do the jobs that we dream of, Suzanne and I do. And big thanks to those of you that use the service and love us, and we love you too. And it's really dreamy. And we were like, we have to be able to talk about this somewhere. So this is kind of our book club where we come and talk about the design and everything. So with that, let's get into the questions. Okay. Question number 1, Corey, will you read that one for us?
Yeah, this has multiple parts, but it's a great question.
Let's just take it one by one.
Yes. Okay. Do you ever tile?
Kelsey Wobbler.
Oh, yes. This is from Kelsey Wobbler. So thank you. Do you ever tile kitchens anymore, or is it always hardwood throughout? If you do opt to use tile in the kitchen, what kind of tiles would you select, and how would you manage the transition from the kitchen tile to the start of the hardwood floors?
Okay.
Do you want to unpack that?
Yeah, let's unpack that.
Let's unpack that.
For sure.
Okay. When we first got this question, Jess was like, no, we don't tile the kitchen.
I can't think of a time when we've ever tiled a kitchen.
No, but most often, I think that was something that they used to do, right? They would like tile kitchens.
Because it was waterproof. Yeah, and in the kitchen, you're going to spill things. Like you're going to spill cooking oil, and you're going to spill red wine and beet juice, and it's just too messy. Yes. So it needs to be mopped and it needs to be tiled.
No, and it used to be like linoleum.
Oh,
like I feel like back in the day, it was like a linoleum 100%. Surface. And then I think we entered into this, and it also kitchens were kind of like behind you. It wasn't part of some open grate space,
Great point.
And so then now enters like the open floor plan, and like, how do you make that transition in this big giant box, right? And so it made sense that when, like, for the most of our career, we've been in that generation where we have open floor plans, and usually the wood it's just a nice continuous surface to have underfoot. And so you take that, your engineered wood, your real wood, all the way through to the kitchen, and then we'd see tile and stone on your countertops and backsplash, and that was it. But in the rare circumstance when we have tiled kitchens, it has been in older homes that still will redo the floor plans, but they're just smaller areas where you can contain them, and it becomes more of a celebration. If you look at our portfolio on ALID or alicelanehome.com, and go to design services in our portfolio and look under the Sugar House. That's a home, an older community called Sugar House here in Salt Lake City. And that home is darling, but it's smaller. And so it made sense. And she is just like a wild character, and it made sense to make a really cool tile pattern. And so if you do it now, you do it because you have this, like, a contained space to create that transition that you're talking about.
It's also usually a remodel, not a new build.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Unless I know that, like, even in new builds, people are wanting a little bit more separation, still open to each other, but a little bit more containment to make a design splash.
Yep.
So depending on but for the majority of people still want an open floor plan. So
also, I will say this, I learned this from somebody once. I can't remember who taught me, so my apologies, but they also said it's more comfortable for our bodies, for our joints to stand on hardwood floor, the way those are done with the stringers and everything else. There's a tiny bit of give.
The bounce, yeah.
It's more comfortable. Where tile, you're not going to be able to have any give to your joints. So you're just going to feel a little more achy and tired in your hips and your knees and your ankles and your feet.
Dishes,
at the end of the day, because we, historically have spent a lot of time in the kitchen. Maybe you're a household that doesn't, and you get to eat out a lot, and the kitchen is just somewhere where you keep your beverages. And in that case, then, do whatever you want. But there is a comfort level to having, to cooking and living and working through a kitchen on a hardwood floor. There's just a little more give.
It's warmer too, like to the touch.
Yeah.
Like
yes.
Yeah.
Temperature wise. However, the design impact with tile is beautiful.
It's for fun, man.
It's for fun.
Yeah. So go look at the sugar house in our portfolio.
I'd say large format tile cut down into shapes to make a pattern is what we did there. Yeah. So we started with a 12 by 12 and cut it into these shapes. So it's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
It's super boutique. So yes, Kelsey, we still do it, but it's just in certain circumstances. But the look is very cool. But yeah, just dependent on your client, dependent on your age or whoever's home this is. Think about that. We're doing another remodel project where tile was considered for the kitchen. And then I thought about the age of the client and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Like they deserve the softness of a wood floor. Am I right? So that's where we're going. And we're just making other design splashes with that material somewhere else. So
that's great. Okay. She has a follow-up question.
Yes. She said, follow-up question. What type of wood and stain family is best for a family with kids? Suze, can you maybe take this one? Thinking of the cringe that will happen when floors get scratched up by the counter stools, chairs, and dumb kid crap. Thank you.
Okay. Well, yes, I do have young children, but Jess has some older children. And I think we both kind of know the answer to this one. I think we would agree upon. Kelsey, I would do something medium to light on the actual wood floor. So when you're thinking about stain, regardless of species, like walnut is kind of this like evergreen, timeless wood species that we love. We always have. And this is like a natural walnut is like this really beautiful medium tone. And it's beautiful. And like you can go dark walnut, but we would not recommend dark anything. Yeah. If you want to again, it's the black car versus the white car. What's going to show spots more? The black car, so it makes sense. Just go honestly, I like medium tone regardless, just because it doesn't trend in or out. I think it'll stay, you'll love it forever.
I agree.
And so, I think it'll be really great with your kids, and do something that has some grain to it. Some pull up that doesn't look too polished, because anything that is polished or too refined is going to show regardless of the color because of the texture. So find something that's textural, be it real wood or engineered, and test drive it.
And if walnut's not in the price range,
kids, have them run their cars on it.
Yeah, totally. If walnut's not in the price range, which I do think is like the most everlasting wood, it never trends. Never goes in or out. I had a Brazilian cherry floor. My mom still does, in a house when I had little kids that were 3 years old and whatnot. And I mopped for a living. Like that was my job besides being a mom.
Cute.
I seriously got that paddle mop out twice a day. And I had a little dog that would go out the back to use the bathroom and come back in, and then little dog prints on my dark Brazilian cherry floor.
How do you get mad at a little dog?
You just can't. You just mop for a living. So you just become really good at it. It's part of your rhythm. You just do it twice a day, and you just kind of keep up with it. And then when you shut the house down and the floors are clean at night, you feel good. And then you wake up in the morning, you do it again. Yep. So I would say for sure, if you cannot afford walnut, which is kind of at the top of the food chain, then I would say it's still a beautiful straight grain oak. Looks really nice.
Actually, right now, walnut's less than oak.
Oh, it is really? Get down. So you're experiencing?
Corey's like, what are your sources?
Yes, some oaks. Yes. But if you were going to do a medium stain on a red oak, which is actually what we have in the showroom. Yeah. That's probably cheaper than walnut right now. Okay. Those two are pretty close though. But if you did even something different, like an ash, which is really close to a oak.
Ash is beautiful.
Yeah. So
super pretty.
There's straight green. You've got options.
Medium stain. Shop it.
Medium stain. Yeah. The other thing about a dark stain on a floor is when it scratches, it's the difference between the dark stain and that light wood. I went over to a friend's house over the weekend, and they had a ton of scratches on their dark hardwood floor, and it's all you could see. And I was like,
Corey has
so crazy.
A tick right now.
Yeah.
He's talking about it. He's getting nervous eyes.
Yeah.
I was so OCD about it. I was like, man, I would have to I would get a stain pen, and I would it would drive me nuts. So that's the other reason not to.
Yeah, for sure.
Paddle mops and stain pens. That's what a dark wood floor will give you guys.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Kelsey.
Yeah, we've been in this.
Luck, my friend.
Yes, for sure. We've been in this place of like blonde floors for so long that now we're starting to see them just deepen up to a medium place. So it's a really nice time, I feel like, to do a floor, because you're going to get to ride that the entire decade plus. But I always feel like a medium floor isn't trending to one way or the other. So it's a really safe spot. So
you're a moderate political view.
Yeah, for sure.
You can swing both ways sometimes. So.
Yeah. And also you can look at plank size and look at maybe doing something that's not trending, and that could bring your price down. I know, my brother's doing a remodel and they're going to do matchstick floors, the 2-inch, which is so charming. And what did he say? They were like $5 or less to do those a square foot. So maybe a little more labor because it's matchstick, but I think you can also really control the price by doing something non-trending, which will also give you a big design swing because you're doing something unique. And I think you get the payoff.
It's like early 1900 homes were matchstick, guys. Like my mom has matchstick, and like, it's still always and forever will be darling.
Always charming. Yeah. I was in a store in Berkeley, California, shop, Doen, Doen. It's a women's shop. And they had matchstick blonde floors throughout. And I just instantly was like, this is so charming.
You can like hear your
the clothes were more beautiful.
A little bit, like it just feels, it's legit.
Yeah. Love it. So try a non-trending thing. You can really work your price down.
Hashtag history.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Next question, Corey, what do you have for us?
This comes from Megan. I don't know her last name. So it came from Instagram, but I won't give her a handle out. But she asked, I just saw a trend report that said full height marble backsplashes are going to date your home to the 2020s and are trendy, not timeless. Do you agree? P.S. I love this look. It seems so chic and cohesive to wrap your kitchen in natural stone, but I do know I never saw this before about 10 years ago, so perhaps it is a trend.
It's a really good question, Megan. It's hard to say because I don't know what's coming, and I agree. I never saw it until it's been being done, but I also can't think of anything more universally classic than just having that one surface completely wrap in a kitchen. It's also very expensive to do because you're buying twice the slabs, right? And you're seeing the movement of marble run across your wall, which is so incredible. Will it trend? Yeah. Perhaps, but
I think the type of marble will trend.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Cheers. I agree. I mean? Yeah.
Because even like if you look history, old money, castles, all those things, and you see these marble mantles, right? Carved out of a whole piece of stone.
Right.
I liken it to something like that. Megan, like if you have a really interesting, like cool figure, contrasted marble on your backsplash, like I feel like that marble has such age and wisdom to it that it doesn't feel trendy to me. If it's like a light gray porcelain to look like a marble that's chasing your backsplash, and like I see repeats in it and I know that it's fake, 100% trendy. They're getting better at like imitating the look of marble, but like at the end of the day, like I know by the touch, I know by those things feel trendy to me. And like anything that's like light gray, where gray was such like a trend of the last 10, 15 years, like that will feel trendy. But if it's how you apply, what is your cabinetry color? What is the marble? And how interesting is it? If it's more interesting, the less trendy it'll be.
Totally.
So, but I don't think that the application, it might be pinpointed. Like this is when they started using that, just like Art Deco was pinned to the 1920s, but I don't think it'll be trendy in a bad way because I think it's smart. You don't have grout lines. It's easy to clean. It's a beautiful statement. It feels like a monolith. Yeah. And so therefore I think it has longevity. In your application.
Well, and if you look at houses back, like all the decades, right? Like what did they do in kitchens? Like a well-built kitchen was always a tile backsplash and usually a rectangle, some form of subway. The modern ones were longer and leaner, but there's always like these cute 1950s homes. We did Tiger Oak, which was based on a historical design. Like tile's been a thing for so long, and maybe the colors change in the grout colors and whatnot, but it's been tile for so long. So I do think slabs could be an everlasting thing. The type of stone, right? We all remember when Carrara was like the rage, and then it was Calcutta, And now it's like the violas, which are really big and
glaze and stuff.
Yeah. So I feel like type of marble maybe, but the idea of it feels really universal.
Yeah. And it all comes down. Those are like the big expensive decisions in your home too. So these are the ones that take extra thought because they're extra expensive. So like, you're not going to want to remodel your kitchen, every 8 years, like you might your family room. So like, just understand your style. Like if it's your style,
if it's based in love.
Yeah. And if it's done in good taste, it won't be trendy because it's for you if you plan on staying in this home. But I'll say that too about like Subways. Subway has been around forever. Just like you were saying, like White Sub, you go to New York, you see all these old kitchens, you see industry, like that's what they use. And so there's a timelessness. So if you still love Subway, you don't have to do it in the farmhouse style that it became really trendy with, just like be more creative, but you can still use those things, but it's all in your application.
Totally. Great answer. Okay. Next question. Looks like this is from Claire Drake.
Yes. She asks, how do you decide grout color? We picked a beautiful Hex Carrera marble tile with some black detail. The vendor recommended an avalanche white. We used it and hated it.
She's bright.
Yeah. It's too overwhelming to tear up and start over. What are some common DIY or design regrets / mistakes and how to cover them up in a chic way?
Okay. On grout, it's hard to regrout. We reached out to one of our favorite tile people and I'm like, can you do anything about that? And she's like, you really can't shave it down. Like you can, it would just, you'd have to rip up.
You can't just work like over the top with more grout.
File the nail and build it up like an acrylic nail, it's kind of a redo, but
we're so sorry, Claire.
I'm so sorry. But she did, I'm going to read her text. She said, but there used to be such a thing as Grout Paint. It was made by Aquamix, I believe. It was a grout colorant and maybe Home Depot or Lowe's carries it or check online. So look for a grout colorant. And actually the gal that's like head of our marketing, she had a similar situation, Claire, where you go in and you manually kind of paint your grout, which on a little hex is going to take you a second. So I don't know how many square feet of this you have, or if you have some kids to put to work, to do this, but you can do that. But the other thing you can do, Claire, is a rug. or Claire,
by rug,
over time,
Suzanne means just cover up the tile and put a rug on top of it.
It's really pretty hex, or just over time. Do you know what I mean? Like over time, the first time you get a scratch on your beautiful marble countertop, it's going to be offensive, but the more you use it and the more lived in it becomes, the more
it's going to warm up,
more beautiful wear it gets. That will naturally, really, we use frost to the question of how do you pick a grout color? We've learned that there are certain ones that we use a lot. With most marbles, I use, it's from the brand Mapei. I think that's how you say it, Mapei, and it's the color frost. So it's not as bright as avalanche, but it's just a good in between. And it will naturally,
it ages well.
It'll naturally age and it'll start to look like warm gray eventually. Warm gray is another one from Mapei that we use a lot depending on what tone of tile you're looking at. So
here's the picture. It looks like it's a laundry room maybe or something like that.
You know what? That's going to age. I know it feels really bright right now, kind of optic, but it will, as you use it, I think just make sure you get equal pattern or you're walking patterns all around, all around. But I think eventually it'll eventually start to look like the frost and the warm gray, which will be beautiful.
It's just very old hotel,
beautiful tile,
right?
Though.
So
it
pretty.
Is, yeah. And you're going to have this there for a long time and don't rip it up. It looks really pretty. It's probably more offensive to you because you're there live and you're a perfectionist, but from the picture, it looks really, really pretty. So
I'm going to say this and you guys can disagree, but I feel like I'm saying this about my people because I come from people in the trade or, vendors like that. Unfortunately, they don't take a stance of what is in design. They just see what is being purchased or what is being used all the time, which is, in my opinion, behind the curve.
No, it's the majority of humans that don't do what we do for a living, but they do other things better. But
so
which is generally on the clotting edge, but not the cutting edge, right?
Yeah. So they're going to give you what everyone else is doing, and that's probably not the best advice to take. Yeah. So I with cabinet guys, I used to be
Don't
one.
ask for the opinion.
Yeah. They're great at the building, not so great at the design.
Yeah. And even when they question your ideas, stay true. If you know it's the right thing to do and you've talked to somebody that has an expert opinion, stick to it. You guys, it was so sad. I was at a family thing and member of my family, anyway, they had to do a remodel because of a leak or something. And she's like, yeah, I think I'm going to do like a gray color in my cabinets. Noted she had like a gray wall. And I was just like, in my mind, I was just like, I should tell her. But she was so excited that I'm just like, it's going to go one ear out the other. Like is that bad? I didn't tell her.
No, because here's what I think. Here's
they're not paying for my expert. And they won't value it.
But,
and they won't
okay. So I'm having this epiphany right now where I read something yesterday and I've been sort of mulling it around in my brain. You know how you do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it said something like how our energy says more than the words we use say more, right? And so we all kind of react off of different people's energy. And in that moment, you could feel her genuine excitement and energy and passion for it. And you're like, why would I let the air out of that tire?
Smash that
and
garden.
be the jerk that's like, you shouldn't do that. I'm an expert in interior design. You're like, no way, man. Her energy's sky high for this. She's so hyped. She thinks gray's amazing. Let her do it. Yeah. Let her have her way. Let her love it for 5 years before she figures out that people aren't doing gray anymore. Yeah. But she'll love it for 5 years and let her stay in that energy.
You know, large handful of her people that she's surrounded by will think it's awesome. Totally. I'm just that one that's just like,
yeah. You wouldn't want to squash her flowers.
Okay, I feel better because I've been thinking about that all week, and I'm like, should I have said something? But
no, if she wanted to know what you think, she'd listen to your podcast.
There you go.
She's not listening.
Speaking of that, I was driving here, getting off of this exit, and they're it was like a mile down, but they're like building a bunch of brand new like warehouses and stuff as they are everywhere in Utah. They're just painting them all gray. I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing?
You're like throwing Duralis cards at them, like, take a clue.
Yeah, for real. I was like, hey, guess what? Those are concrete. You could have just left it anyway. It would have been gray. Like, you didn't have to paint
a warm gray.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
I know. It's when I just saw our grocery store remodel. Smith's grocery store just painted the outside gray. Just within the year.
It's like
they've been waiting. It's been beige. They haven't painted it for 20 something years, and they decide to paint it gray once gray is completely
corporate was just like,
done.
Should have just kept the beige, and that was
now the warm colors are going. Yeah.
You guys. So to all you fellow designers, hold your tongue. Sometimes
I need to take a page from that book because I feel like I express my opinion too often, and I.
So does Tom. He was like biting his lip, and I like hit him on the leg. I'm just like, don't say anything. Because he knows better.
She's excited.
Yeah. You know what? And I'm excited for you. It'll be better than it was.
So it'll be so pretty to her. Yeah. Yep. That's what matters. Okay. What matters. Another question that came in. Lots of people are wanting to know our faux marble tile recommendations. So we understand here at Dear Alice that not all of us can afford to do real tile that's marble. There are some fakes out there. The longer we wait, the more realistic the fakes are getting. So if real marble is not in the price point, but you just are jonesing for it, right? Mm-hmm. Suzanne, you just barely saw one that you were like, hey, it's not bad.
No, we've seen all the, like, I feel like some of them, especially when they're honed, there's different finishes you can get faux marble tile and countertops, and you can get them honed or you can get them polished. In my opinion, the honed ones look way more fake than the polished. So just know that, like, if you're going to do a faux marble and you want to be the best looking one, know that it's going to be polished. If you're not a polished person, that might not be the right fit. So consider those things. Good point,
because polished is completely counterintuitive to the way we feel about real marble.
Yeah, so I'm just like, we're saying it's hard.
We're saying
to say that out loud.
Yeah, for sure.
But just like from my eyeball, I like the look of the polish. It looks like a more real marble. And I think that is the goal, right? You want it to look real, even though it's fake. Mm-hmm. If this is the situation you're in. But when I went to Dow Tile, we went to Dow Tile on a little field trip, honestly like a year ago, and they've even gotten better since. There was a line called Panoramic Porcelain through Dow Tile, and they looked really, really good and polished.
They take photographs of marble, and these are completely printed. These photo-ready marble slabs are printed onto porcelain. So you get the durability of porcelain, you get that great cleaning story, but you have something that is actually an image of marble on top of it. that looks really good when it's polished. You don't hone it. You can use it as countertops. Your issue is going to be that you need to come up with an edge detail because the photo only exists on the surface. So then you're going to need to miter the corners, wrap it around. Yeah. So you're going to have to use pieces because that marble isn't going to be solid through the slab like marble is.
And it's going to be thinner. A lot thinner.
Yeah.
It was like 12 mm or something like that.
Yeah, it was like a half inch, just over a half inch thick.
Like 0.47, I think. So really thin.
So good for maybe backsplashes, shower walls, maybe.
Yeah, I think for shower walls,
if you want to do pony wall in your bathroom and wrap it like 4 feet up the wall, you know, do the surround. Yeah. We did that in a bathroom in our showroom. That's porcelain.
Yeah. And the actual, it used to also be that you would see the repeat a lot sooner of like that portion of the marble. And then you're like, well, I know you're fake because I see your exact identical twin 4 feet away from that, you know, shape. And it was a dead giveaway, but the broad repeat is they're getting better at it and it's becoming broader and broader. So if you do want to have a slab backsplash, you know, it's very likely that you won't see the same piece anywhere on that whole backsplash, depending on, or if you book match them, then again, you'll be a lot less likely to see repeats, which is again, that's a good thing for you.
Totally. So, and that product, it's available as tile as well as slab. Great. And will you tell them the name of it again?
Yeah, it's from Dow Tile and it's called Panoramic Porcelain is the line. And then there's dark marbles, there's light marbles, there's some really cool vein. We're always talking about an opinionated vein and they had some really good opinionated veins that kind of hide the faux better. Yeah.
I like it.
Yep.
Great. Okay. Next question is, what are their favorite go-to colors for different rooms?
Ooh.
So I think this is
on marbles and tile.
Yes.
That's a big question.
I will say right now where trends are going is warmer. So keep that in mind. So your grays have now become taupes. I would even dare say camels. We're seeing in fashion, we're seeing off-white over white. White still obviously having a place, but we're seeing yellows, pale yellows like butter is really big. Browns, green is like the it girl of the season.
Hey girl.
Right? Yep. Yeah. So it's an interesting thing. All of those feel really steeped in nature. And I feel like nature is all about like the curvilinear shapes, the softer forms, the more artisan touch to things. So believability and having come from nature are going to be super, super key. That being said, you may be like me and you're just like, love the color blue. And in that case, you're going to maybe love blue. For your
what you pair blue
powder
with,
bath,
you
right?
know? Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, if I wanted to use color in a bathroom, right now, wallpaper is just still so hot, right? So I'm going to find a paper that I love and I'm going to go tile shopping with my paper and I'm going to find the right tile to go with that vibe. Now, if I just want this really gorgeous, everlasting bathroom with like a grass cloth wall, I'm probably going to use a stone on the floor more than I'm going to use a colored tile.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. There's, probably more than a colored tile. We're doing a powder bath and a whole estate remodel up here in Holiday right now. And we were just working on it this morning. So it's super fresh. And the tile that we're using everywhere is a limestone. It's from Dow Tile and it's called Arctic Gray. It is like just the prettiest, even though it has the title or the name gray in it, there's just like such a warmth with it. And it pairs really beautifully with some of these like warm, deep minky colors like Lagos blue. You know, that's another limestone. And those two together play so beautifully. They're on checkered floors or like in these mosaics. And then we're probably either going to plaster or we have this other grass cloth option for the surround, like you were just talking about for the powder that just is enveloping and it feels warm. It looks awesome with metals. It doesn't go too cold. It stays warm, but it's not hot.
Yeah.
So anyway.
I love that.
Yeah.
Colored tile wise though, for your emergency remodel that you've been kicking the tires on,
curl.
You're going to do 2 different colored tiles for 2 different bathrooms. The primary suite that you're going to take a shower in every morning of your life.
Mint.
Is mint.
But it's variations of mint. So it's also
it's Moroccan tile, right?
Yeah. So like there's lots of different lines at different price points of this Moroccan tile. And they're usually like a 4x4. They come in 2x2s. And anyway, and it's like a zellage tile. It's like if you Google Zellige, that's a zellage tile. And you're going to see there's the one that I'm using for price point on my emergency remodel is from Dow Tile. and they have a lot of really great colors. And so I'm using a blue version for my boys, and I'm using the minty green one for mine. And there's different levels. It's not just like one uniform color. It's not pristine like a Subway tile, but it's handcrafted, and it feels, there's just like an earthiness and a pooling to it where you get lots of different variations of it. And it's just my favorite. And it has been our favorite for a long time.
Forever.
And there's something really old school about the square stacked on top of each other that I love it.
Yeah.
So
and
that's a great,
Sue's house looks like an artist that is also a designer design these rooms to really have a beautiful all-in experience with. So you're not like so concerned about trying to play neutral. This isn't for resale. This is full blown 100% love of design and art. And she even has the art that goes in the room that goes with it that was considered. And I do feel like the all enveloped color is a really beautiful design statement. So you don't have to just phone it in with neutrals. You can use a colored tile.
Or a proper eccentric. Go all in.
But also your home is a remodel. It's built in the 70s and it feels right. I feel like.
I feel like it's very period.
Yeah.
And even the bathroom that we're tearing apart, she was all in with purple, you know, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love that about her.
Totally.
It's like, you've lived there too long. Like you're starting to see past the.
No, I actually think
great, but I'm just like, how ballsy was it of her to do her, like her cabinetry, her walls, her ceiling. I'm just like, girl, we know each other.
Totally.
Yeah, we get each other. So
I love it.
Yeah. But I will say this over and over again, there is a power to saturation. And when you go into a saturated room, you feel different. And it is like, for my soul, it like fuels me. Like, give me a lot of people and saturation. And I'm
that's so good.
Proper global eccentric self is just like never happier.
I love it. Speaking of a full blown color room, Corey, your primary bath. What color tile did you use there?
Yeah, pink. And it was my decision, which some people, like Rebecca Westover, I met her at the last warehouse sale, and she said something about it because she photographed my house. And I was like, that was like my my choice. I have a base. It's my favorite base that I have, and it's pink, and so it's kind of like a tip of the cap to that.
His bass. I'm just going to go ahead and call it a bass guitar for those of you that don't know that Corey is a musician.
Yeah, bass guitar. So yeah, it's shell pink.
Yeah, shell.
Yeah.
There's an earthiness to it.
And yours is Moroccan also.
Yeah, which also actually has a repeat in it. So I was thinking that while you were talking about the Zellage tiles, that if you have a tile guy that's going to do that, make sure he's pulling from different boxes and not taking pieces that putting next to other ones that look the exact same, because they're made from similar molds. So my guy did a really good job at not doing that. So I can I'm like in the shower, I'm like, there's like that same exact mark on these two, but it is what it is. But there is great depth and difference in the color of each tile, so it doesn't look like a wall of pink. There's kind of dimension to it. So that's why
Did you also use the same one from Dow Tile that Sue used?
Yeah, I believe
you guys compared notes?
Mine's like 2x8, like Subway that I stacked.
Yeah. They come in different sizes. So I'm sure. But the fun thing is like the colors are kind of always going in and out. Like there were some online that they're like, oh, we don't have that, but we have this now. So just, check and see what's current. And I think they're really, really fun, and just go all in, go your paint, do variations of it. And you will come alive.
I love that. That's so great. Okay. Somebody says how to pick a tile pattern for the floor. There's so many options, and it's hard to know what you'll end up liking in the long run.
I think it just kind of depends on your house. Like we have one client down in St. George that she was raised a great deal of her life in Great Britain. And so she loves that London mosaic. And so again, we're not sponsored by Dow Tile, but they have this one, I can't remember the collection name, but they have a really good option that you can do a lot of those really cool patterns with different Keystone, the Keystone collection. And you can do like some cool colors. And she's sending me install pics right now of her house going up, and they're so much fun. So if you love a European, British vibe, do something like that. And, tag history a little bit and see what has been successful and what you're drawn to. If you're more French, what did they do? They did not even herringbone. They did chevron wood lay floors for that. But then they also did a lot of the black and white checker, and so look at that. One thing I will say in all the homes that we do, I love it when we border it. I think it gives some like really nice termination and like just an outline for your tile pattern to dive into. Usually if I'm doing like a light and a dark, I'll usually border it in the dark just to kind of ink the layer, that whole outline.
Define that.
It defines it. And sometimes when it
kind of makes the pattern a rug almost in the middle of it.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be a big border. If it's a big room, do a bigger border. That's also a party foul. When I've seen big entries and they do a small dark border, I was like, oh no, they didn't know about scale. So do like something that's proportionate to the room. If it's a smaller room, you'd only need like, 3, 4 to 6 inch border on that. So I just think I think it separates someone that knows what they're talking about versus someone that's just like, let's do a checkerboard and we'll go from edge to edge.
Oh gosh.
And then you see all the points meeting up with the baseboard. Yikes.
Oh, it's stabbing it. And there's like knives.
And there's like nothing on a new build that's like square, plumb, or straight. And so you see different.
You see less of a point on one, and then you see a point extra.
If you guys go look at the, there was one spot we didn't border, and like every time I see a picture, I'm not even gonna say it out loud because I'm ashamed. I see like the pattern differentiate on that line. I'm like, it's party foul. So border it out.
Yeah.
Some great advice that you gave me, and I don't know, you probably don't remember. I was building my house at the time, and you were like, in your powder bath, do not do like big, like 8x8 or 12x12 tile.
Oh yeah.
Right after we recorded the podcast, I went to Dow Tile and found like a different, same type of concept. Like we were going to do a black and white.
You're like texting your person, you're just like, scratch the order.
Yeah. I was like, hey, don't lay that tile. And I went and found a different one. And I'm so glad I did. Like every time I'm in the bathroom, I'm like, wow, like this pattern just fits so much better in a small powder bathroom than 12x12 tile would have. It would have been like 9 12x12 tile.
You'd be like, the room is 9 square feet by 10 squares. You can count the square feet.
Like when you're at a gas station, you can
12 by 12.
You can count the squares and you're just like, this is really tight. This is a very small bathroom.
It feels just a little bit basic unless you cut it on an angle and then install it interesting. But sometimes a 12x12 is just a little too basic.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Especially in a small space.
True.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. Neutral colors versus trendy colors, dark green, etc. This is so hard. Oh, gray feels.
I'm
gray
sad
feels
in neutral
trendy
rooms,
right
you
now.
guys. I'm gonna be completely honest.
I like that you're saying that.
Yeah, no, and we do them all the time. And I have like, even in my public space, it's all white, but it's all white. The floors are white, the walls are white, the ceiling's white. So it's like, it's not padded or anything, like it's not an insane asylum, but I have color elsewhere, but I just love it when I'm in a colored room. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I went into a store and I was wearing a colorful necklace and she's like, I really like that necklace with the color that you're wearing. She's like, I only thought I could wear that necklace with like a neutral or a white. And I was just like, oh, hell no. Like I don't have very many neutrals because I'm so pale and blonde and just like, I'm a blank white palette anyway. So I'm just like, I like feed off a color. So just kind of know that about yourself and then it won't be trendy.
Yeah.
So it'll be you.
Do you guys think it depends on the space though too? Like
it depends on your style.
Okay.
Totally. That's what it depends on. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because we all know this about ourselves for the most part, like what our ultimate style is, what we love, what we light up in, what we respond to. Like, oh, I could sit in that store forever. I just love the way it feels. Mm-hmm. Or, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like experiences where we've been to certain people or coastal towns or places in Africa or whatever it is, right? We met with professional basketball players to do their spaces and they say, I want my house to be exotic like Africa. Mm-hmm. And we know that that's true, that they've experienced that. And we want to know what to them is exotic. And then you break that down. So it's hard for us to say like what's neutral, what's trendy, because for us, it always comes from the individual, from their life experience, what their eyeballs think are beautiful. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And also it comes from sometimes what we didn't have as a child and what we've always wanted. Like, the home we did, and he just dreamed of a black and white checkered entry because his rich aunt had a black and white checkered entry and she wore fake eyelashes. And to him, she was successful. And he's like, someday if I make it, those are the markers I want for my home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So it's all very emotional, I feel like. So it's hard to say like, yes, we could open up House Beautiful or a Traditional Home or any of the magazines and we could give you a big headline about what's neutral and what's trendy. Mm-hmm. but I just feel like it comes from a more honest place from within us. Is gray out? Yeah, for sure. That's trended and it's done.
But if gray makes you happy innately, if you look yourself in a gray shirt and you're like, I've never been more beautiful, then shoot, do gray.
Yeah. Well,
I feel like the ugliest person of my life when I wear gray, you know?
But maybe there's like a warmer version or a more Parisian version, and the pairing of it's so great and so honest with this, you know, with this sort of interpretation of it, then I think that's what makes it beautiful to you. Yes. To answer the question from the viewer, dark green, all green right now is something that we just couldn't see enough of at market. And we continue to see it in, I feel like, publications, especially digital ones, because their calendars aren't so much depicted by 6 months before, like they're really hitting it right now. So I feel like we're seeing that a lot in fashion as well as in the home, all shades of green, all shades of brown, bittersweet chocolate. I think the dark brown to me is what's beautiful, but I don't know. What do you see on brown?
But that's saturation too.
Yeah,
you know, and
totally.
I like it. You know,
and that would be a
smokier versions are just
a neutral color, which I feel like green is also a neutral color given the big houseplants trend, right? Like,
but I think there's some greens that feel like flatter. And I think there's some greens that have more depth, you know, and just like interest in their color. And it's just, I think that's the marker for something that's not trendy, is if it has depth or interest to it, like it's smoky or it's just like a little bit turned on its edge a little bit, you know,
or less common, like your mint bathroom that you're about to take on.
I didn't think like, you would think like, oh, Sue will do like the dark forest emerald or whatever.
For sure.
Like, that would have been predictable. And I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, and what's historic for this time period? It's a mint. It'd be mint green, right? And so it feels honest.
I love that. So. Yeah, so good. Well, you guys, that wraps up our episode on tile. And I hope that those answered some of your questions. If you guys have any more, please feel free to always send those in to Dear Alice at Alice Lane Home. Or you can always just DM us on one of those Instagram accounts, Alice Lane Home or at Alice Lane Interior Design. We'll catch you next time. Hey, thanks for listening. If you like our show, please leave a 5-star rating.